there's a dude in Canada that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
And if I don't get better, I'm not going to beat him. I've heard it from other guys. It's like, why wouldn't you take that Giants Live? Why wouldn't you take, I said no to Worlds last year. I couldn't even believe it when I got to the top of the power stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was one of my most emotional moments in my entire career, was the top of those power stairs. I lost to my current business partner, who's like a middleweight guy, and he'll never let that go. He's like, I beat Lucas Hatton.
Welcome to the Shaw Strength Podcast. Today I am joined by Mr. Lucas Hatton. And Lucas, for anybody that does not know, and you should know, is a professional strongman coming off some really good contest finishes, to be fair. 2024, man, you were kind of on a tear into 2025 now. Last weekend, second place at the Arnold Strongman Classic, knocking on the door, a couple points out of first. It was close, man, but it's good to have you, brother. How you doing?
Doing really good. Like, I know we got to step in this room a little bit after Strongest Man on Earth.
Yes.
And I've been wanting to come back. So it's kind of cool to go full circle. Got to be here a little bit this week, do some media stuff. This has been fun, and I can't thank you, Carrie, enough for having me out.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, no, it's been really, really good, man. It's been fun to see your progression in the sport and, you know, your evolution. I think, you know, we can get into a lot of different topics around that and your mentality and all of that. But I would love to know, and for people like this, obviously be an introduction to who you are, what you're about, you know, and I feel like a lot of people are starting to say, like, Lucas Hatton, who is this guy? Like, you know, he's coming on the scene doing some of these crazy lifts and whatever, but give me a little bit of history, man. Like growing up, like, you know, where you're from, all those type of things.
Sure. I grew up in Eatonville, Washington. Small logging town outside Mount Rainier. And I feel like the thing that people do in Washington is they get a little more famous, whatever that means, is they give up on saying I'm from whatever town. I'm from Seattle. It's like, no, I am not.
Yeah.
I'm from Eatonville. I got a lot of pride in that.
Love it.
I've lived in Tacoma the last 8-10 years. So I have a lot of love for Eatonville and Tacoma. Those are my places. I grew up playing football and track, went to PLU in Tacoma, a little D3 school, very undersized O lineman. Even for D3, I was a pretty small O lineman. Did shot put, discus, and hammer in college. I was good, but I think I didn't really find my sport until post-college. I got into coaching for a little bit, and I was like, the fire is not out. I need to compete.
I like it. Yep.
Just training for fun I just stopped training. And
so were you into sports when you were young?
Yes.
Too? What were your favorites? Was it football?
What's funny is I did soccer as a kid.
Okay.
And my dad almost had to force me to do football. He's a longtime football guy. It was like 6th grade. He's like, just go out and do it. And we didn't have soccer in middle school. And so I was like, I'll do football for 2 years and I'll go back to soccer. I'm gonna be a soccer player forever. It's funny what you think is true when you're 10.
Of course, yeah.
And yeah, could not be further from the truth. But yeah, football and track all the way through. I had some really good mentors just coaches that kept the gym open for me. It told me like, hey, if you want to get strong, you need to take off seasons. So really early on, that's why I didn't wrestle. I stopped wrestling. So wintertime, summertime, I could train. And I didn't have any idea how impactful that would be. Like
just the training itself.
Those 2 seasons of off training, like in the summer you're with the football team,
yep.
But the wintertime I was by myself with this one teacher, Mr. Dawkins, and he's a former guy who competed in bodybuilding, who was just the health teacher at the school. And he would just stay after school just for me to lift.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he has no idea what he did.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I started to like training way more than the sports.
Okay.
I didn't understand that yet. But when the sports were done, it was like, I need to do something. And I really loved the training. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
What age did you get started with it, with the lifting?
Probably 14.
Okay.
I have an older brother, Cody, who is so cool now. He's got a 5-month-old. It was so my nephew is named Trip. It's his first plane flight to go see the Arnold. So
that's cool. So he came this weekend.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Trip's first strongman show, Trip's first flight. My brother was in the back helping out move weights. So supportive, but he's 2 years older, a bit bigger, just naturally. So like high school, I graduated at barely 6 foot, 205 lying and saying I was 225.
Okay.
He was 6'2", 265.
So quite a bit
bigger.
Okay,
and
okay.
So I just had this motivation. I didn't want to be stronger than the guys in my class. I wanted to be stronger than my brother. And he was, the all league guy, all that stuff. And I overshot that goal by a lot. I think I'm a little stronger than my brother now.
I would say so, probably.
But, he was the reason I got started, and then just a couple good interactions with coaches that cared.
Yeah.
And,
That's
started.
neat, man. So was it kind of an instant addiction with the training?
Yeah.
Like you got in there and you're like, all right, were you kind of fascinated with strength, or was it something that like you knew about lifting and wanted to do it before you got started, or was it just kind of came and then once you started, you're like, wow, this is great.
Once I started, and you know how it goes, first couple of years, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just doing stuff hard. Like
100%.
Your lower body day is every lower body movement,
Yeah, just go hard. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it really, from the jump, it was like, this is, if you want to do sports and do well in sports, I just understood that this is what I need to do. I wasn't the fastest, the tallest, the biggest, but by the time I was a sophomore, it's like, oh, I can be the strongest.
Yeah.
And
so was that strength, did that come on pretty quick? Like, did you start to notice that? Yeah. Compared to your peers, let's say, or friends or whatever, like, were they training alongside you, or were you going harder with that?
I small towns, like I had 500 kids in my school and we had 60 or 70 on the football team. So it's like, you just did sports. Yeah. We knew each other. We all trained together. And I think I had a good group of guys with me that like, let's bring everybody along.
That's great.
Yeah. So like, we didn't always have the biggest guys, but we trained hard. Yeah. We didn't know what we were doing, but we trained hard. And it was just, I'm really thankful for that small town. It's like, we don't have anybody else. We just have to make the guys we have better.
100%.
Like there's no never ending stream of talent coming through. It's like, we got this dude, Riley, he's 5'5", and he's going to play running back. Yep. So let's get him benching 300 pounds and we're going to do all right.
Yeah. Like, get him stronger. Get him ready. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I'm so thankful for that small town thing, because we just had what we had and we did it.
Yeah. I mean, the training partners, I think, especially early on, right? Like when you're getting in, there's certainly a special bond that's formed there, as you're training. And then, there's all these exciting strength milestones that you get to, and whether it's 2 plates or 3 plates or whatever, like it just starts to happen and you're like, wow, this is great. But these people are on that ride with you, and then it just kind of reinforces how great it is. But for you, as you started getting stronger, how did that impact your life outside of the gym?
It was huge. So I really thankful for my parents. I hit the lottery with them. Still today, like they travel,
which is great. Yeah, that's great.
My dad put in the extra hours for elementary school. We got to go to a private school, which it was a good thing. But I got a little socially awkward. You're only around the same like 12 kids forever. Yeah. And I was the video games kid. I did some sports, but there was no confidence. There was a chubby kid, and I wouldn't consider myself good at sports probably till like halfway through high school. It's just, but as I got stronger, I got better, and it was just a 1-to-1 correlation. And it was just like, that came with confidence. That came with, okay, now I'm okay to speak in front of the class. Now I'm okay to run for this thing and try to get, the class officer or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, I had the parents who were reinforcing these things at home, but I was really like believing it myself once I'd done it in the gym, and I saw feedback. This is like the first thing where I can just put in effort and it results in this. Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool, man. That transition in, so getting to college, you said earlier you played 2 sports. So you did football and track. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the cool things you can do at D3. So at first I thought I was burnt out on football. I was like, I'm just going to do track, go all in.
Were you being recruited with both of those, or was it?
Yeah, but as the 205 6-foot O lineman, what doesn't matter if you're all state. They're just like, well, he's as good as he's going to get.
It's all size. It's size.
There was guys throwing similar distances to me that were 6'5" that were going to UW.
Wow.
But I'm I'm tapped out.
So you're being judged on
Sure.
your size for sure.
And, I was a little, chip on my shoulder about it because half the world-class American shot putters are 6 foot or 6'1".
Yeah.
But,
and you're right there. Yeah.
But it is what it is. And I'm, it matched, at the end of the day, it matched where I was athletically. I just thought I was going to do track. I went to PLU for this one particular coach that just invested everything in me. Dan Hawkinson, just awesome guy. He moved on to another school, and I was just like, I miss football. So my last 2 years of college, I went back to football. It was kind of funny. Like, I was lifting in the gym, and the O-line coach told me, he's like, my number one recruit that I want is already at the school. It's you.
Wow.
My brother had played for him, and he was just,
oh, nice. Okay.
He thought it was just a shoe-in that I was going to play.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm going to do track.
That's
so
crazy.
Then I came back and ended up doing both sports. I'm so thankful that I did.
Yeah.
Just for the guys I met, just awesome coaches. Like, my athletic career was, some people would say, not anything crazy, just D3 sports, but the coaches I met and like the things they taught, I'm so thankful.
Yeah.
So
well,
thankful.
it's all of it helps build your foundation, right? Yeah. So like all of these interactions, and I mean, it's so funny hearing your story about like the high school weight room and having, certain, coaches or teachers or whatever that would essentially open it up and let you stay longer, maybe show you a few things. Like I had similar experiences like that. And it is super impactful, right? For a younger person, and whether or not those people at that stage could see that in you, whereas like, hey, if I do this for this kid, like it's probably going to change his life in a lot of ways. Right. So it's neat, like full circle. And so some of those people, down the line, it's like that impact. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know, right? But it's kind of cool that like they were able to share that, and like it came to that point. But getting into college and being able to do both, and have that, like you had to. Do you feel like for you it was something where it's like strength, explosiveness, like where did you come into your own, like as an athlete? Because you're obviously lifting, not necessarily strength athlete at that moment, right? But it's like you're using the weight room to get better for your sport that you're doing. I mean, was there a knack early on, like things that you really gravitated towards?
By college, I had already started to, like, my identity was tied to the training.
Okay.
Like I had a lot of pride in it. It was something I was like, I'm going to do more than all my teammates. I'm going to bring them with me, but I'm going to win. Like, I'm going to do it.
I love it. So you're competitive in the weight room.
Very.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
I wanted to be good at it. Like, it was kind of cool. My high school actually graduated at my university, like just geographically they're close. So we used the college to do my graduation ceremony. The next day I go from there to the weight room. It's the first day I was legally allowed to
awesome.
Talk to the strength coach.
Okay.
And, by 3 months in, he's like, I'm going to write a program for you, not just the throwers program. You're going to do one for you because, you want to learn the Olympic weightlifting movements. You want to train 5 days. They're training 4.
Sure.
And he just took the time. He's already managing 19 sports. And once a month we'd sit down and write a program. And that was like the first time I'd consciously thought about not doing it hard, but like, what are we doing?
What's the structure?
And another guy, Coach Rice, took the time. And and it was funny is by the end of college, I was a finance major. Everyone's like, you study kinesiology, right? I was like, no.
Oh man.
And I ended up managing the school gym and all this stuff. They just believed that I was a kinesiology major just because of what I was interested in.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, dude, I studied finance. Like, I'm basically a wizard on Excel.
Yes.
That's what that degree is.
Yeah.
And I'm not using it.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's like all your interests seem like it was around that.
It was. Yeah.
But it's like, well, I'm studying something completely different.
I think, with college, I don't know if I'd run it back different, but I think I just thought that's what you do. You just go, you study something that makes money.
Yeah.
And you'll just like it.
And just do it.
But I think the whole time I knew my life will not be spent looking at a computer screen.
That's
interesting. I knew that objectively.
Yeah.
But I still did it. I don't know. I found my way to what I'm doing now. There was some, a pretty big stint doing something else in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't regret it. I did learn things that I apply all the time.
Sure.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's like when you look back, why do certain things happen, or, you know, like the steps in your journey. And I think as you get through your journey, sometimes there's more clarity, right? So it's like, well, maybe, who knows? Maybe if you were completely into that, and then with the school, that was exactly what you were studying. And it was like, well, now all it is, it's overload, overload, overload. Whereas like if you're studying finance, well, now the gym is an outlet in a way, right? So you have that, like, it's like your passion. It could be that, right? Like it could just be, well, that balance. So you weren't trying to go back and now you're studying human anatomy and exercise physiology and all the things that go along with it. And then you're trying to also go, you know, because, you know, it could be an overwhelming thing. It could be, right? So like maybe it was a blessing in disguise to have that as kind of a separate study pattern. You're going through college, but you're playing a sport. So you're, you know, and playing a sport in any level. And I know you're trying to downplay the D3. There's not very many people that go on beyond high school. So taking that step beyond high school is a big thing. But then college sports are demanding. Yeah. Like there's commitments you have to make, and being a student athlete is not easy. So it's like, who knows, man? Maybe it was that balance for you, like that played for you. It played well, you know?
It's like until I made the jump to be, you know, a coach and a gym owner and a strongman, it was just something I did it on the side because I really, really loved it.
Yeah.
And that's a good way that you put it, is like, I always chose it. I chose it repeatedly, no matter what else was happening in my life. I was still choosing it until it's everything now.
Yeah.
Like, and it went from nothing to everything really fast.
Yeah. So when you get done with college, right? So you graduate, you're done playing sports. That love of lifting didn't leave. So when did strongman come into the picture?
Sure. So I had done some Olympic lifting in college, just because of track and field. I was already clean and jerk, snatching, whatever. I was not good technically because I was somewhat self-taught. So once college was done, I was like, I don't have access to that weight room anymore. It's too technical. I don't have a coach. So I'm going to do powerlifting. So I got into powerlifting. I enjoyed it. I was getting better. And then I was doing some coaching in the high school level for track, which I love doing that. And I hope someday I have time to do it again. But I would find at the end of practice, I would teach the throwing and I would just stay and throw. And I was like, oh yeah, I need to do something.
Interesting.
And it's like, I'm never going to the Olympics for throwing. That's just not, I was nowhere close.
Yeah.
So I thought of myself very much as a power lifter. I had some goal of some total, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
And then, I was just generally interested in strength. And I think it was like 2017, 2018, a couple buddies at the gym were like, there's a strongman show, go do it. I had no way to train the events. I was at a commercial gym. So I go do it. I ended up second. It's funny. I lost to my current business partner, who's like a middleweight guy.
Interesting.
And he'll never let that go. He's like, I beat Lucas Hatton.
First one I had it. Yeah.
Yeah. I beat Lucas Hatton in his first show. He's actually undefeated against me. That's the way he likes to put it.
Of course. Why not?
Yeah. I don't think that would ever happen again.
No.
But then for basically till 2020, I'd do like one powerlifting show, one strongman show. And I went back and forth. 2020, I'm a powerlifter who does strongman. Same powerlifting meet got canceled 3 times. And I was just like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I went and did some outdoor strongman show at a farm somewhere.
Okay.
And they're like, you qualified for nationals. I didn't know there was a nationals. Let's go do that. And I think once I did that first nationals, I'm like, I'm a strongman now. Like, I didn't know what it was going to be, but it's like, I just compete in strongman. I'm not going back to powerlifting. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you ever, were you thinking that way before? Because powerlifting, you know, it's something where there's a lot of people that love it, man. It's right. And they get very into it and consumed by their numbers and, you know, what you're going to lift. But I mean, and this is just the way I kind of thought, like from the beginning, is like, I need variety. Mm-hmm. So I always really thrived off of a lot of variety in my training and walking in the gym and doing something different. And then if I got to go do a strongman contest where the events were different, now I get to come up with a whole new training plan and figure out, okay, if this is going to be a weird implement or this bar is different or whatever, but I have to plan for that and get ready for that. And then that's done. And then we move on to the next one where it's a new set of events. And like, it's always the variety. And then you modify the training to then match that and try to maximize it. So it's always this puzzle that you have to put together to be the best you possibly can be at that contest with those events, right? So like I was immediately like, people ask me too about powerlifting, like, oh, well, you know, why did you not? Because I never did a powerlifting meet ever, right? So it was something where it was talked about, and then it just never drew my interest, right? Like it just wasn't like, okay, yes, I want to go train for that. It would have been at certain points, it's like, okay, well, what you know, would take the straps away, what could the raw deadlift be or something? Like those type of thoughts are there, but it's like, well, I never really was drawn into it. So it's like, I can understand why you kind of like immediately were like, well, powerlifting cool, but strongman, I'm not going back to that. It makes sense.
Yeah, it didn't ever feel like I was doing sports. It felt like I was doing training and then elevated training.
Yeah.
It just, there was no, and I felt like my athleticism was wasted on powerlifting. I'd always been taken a lot of pride in being really well-rounded.
Yeah.
You know, even as I got bigger, I put on quite a bit of size post-college. I didn't stop doing plyo. I didn't stop doing sprints. I didn't stop doing some weightlifting movements. And I was just like, I miss sprinting. I miss, like, in the powerlifting, you just get further and further away from it the more you go lean in.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I did that first nationals. And I was like, this is sports.
Yeah.
And like, I met a few key people. I'd done some training with Grant Higa.
Okay.
You know, Josh Hatfield was a pro in that era. Erin Murray was I thought she was the strongest woman on the planet. I'd never met somebody like Erin Murray.
Yeah.
And they were, you know, it's funny, all those people that were at those local shows in Washington, they're all pros now. Like
That's cool.
It's just, there's this weird little hotbed in the Northwest. And I think Grant is kind of the one that got it started. And there's a lot of people that do strongman at a very high level. And like, I don't think Grant's even aware of what he started.
Yeah.
Like even way back to like Jesse.
Yeah. He's a good dude. Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, he's, you know, just somebody that I met. I mean, he was obviously competing before I came into the scene. And, you know, he's one of those guys that like, it was always fun to be around. Right. And just, you know, smiling, laughing, you know, having that good time. It's neat to hear you say that about like that rubbing off on just kind of like a culture in a way. Yeah. Like it's like, all right, he was part of it and kind of maybe one of the original guys or maybe the original guy, like to bring it into the mix. So it's neat, man.
Yeah. And I asked him about that. And I was like, who did strongman in the Northwest before you? And he just drew this blank. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know. Yeah. And it's like, it might be you, dude. Like,
yeah. You might be the guy.
And he, you know, he was back when, you know, Jesse Marunde was in the Northwest. And like Jesse's equipment through Grant has found its way to our gym now.
That's cool. Yeah.
Like there's just like, he's the connecting thread through, you know, 20 years of strongman. And it's just, you know, I can't thank that guy enough. And like the dude damn near cried when he did the send off video for me going to the Arnold Classic. Like, he's so proud of all of us.
Yeah. I actually saw that, man. That was cool. That was really cool.
Love that guy.
A lot of emotion too, man. It's, you know, but investment, emotion, and it's probably a full circle thing, you know, for you to go do as well as you have done. Right. Like it's just, I'm sure there's an immense amount of pride there, right? Yeah. Like, so like that's huge.
He was there for like my first 700-pound deadlift. He's losing his mind over it, and like and he's like, "You're going to the Arnold now. That's so crazy." Like just you know, and that's a 4-year difference. Yeah. It was like 2020 before that nationals, 700-pound deadlift. We're losing our minds. I go get 35th at amateur nationals. And it's like 4 or 5 years later with the Arnold Classic. Like that's such a crazy thing.
Were you when would you say that was kind of the point you were hooked in and you were like, all right, like did that boost your confidence going to nationals, seeing the level that was there and kind of where you could potentially go? I mean, did that light bulb go off? Was that kind of one of those moments?
Yeah, because I think in my head I thought I was better than I was at that point.
Okay.
And I was like, I got 35th because I underperformed. I should be able to go top 5, top 10, whatever. Totally was nowhere close to that level. But I mean, everyone's first time going that next level, whether that's amateur nationals, your first Arnold amateur, your first America's Strongest Man, you just get exposed to that next thing and you're like, oh, this is real. Yes. I am not ready for this. Yep. Or, you know, and it lit the fire. It's like, I'm going to do better. I think the next year I got 5th because I can't throw sandbags. I would have gone pro that year.
just messed that up.
Yeah, it was the year that Tom Evans actually went pro.
Okay.
And then the following year I ended up second. That's when I went pro. So third amateur nationals, 2022, I got it done. It's pretty cool. Me and my training partner went first and second.
Yeah, that's cool.
He beat me on the last event. He'll never let me live that down either.
Of course. Well, what a good, I mean, you got to have people around you like that, man. That kind of fun, like harassment in a way, like the fun harassment, you know, it's good. That's awesome, dude. It's one of those things like you come full circle. So when from 2022, like turning pro.
Yep. So
where did that go? Like, what did the last couple years look like, you know, as far as opportunities? Because in this is like talking more American strongman, if you will.
Yeah.
I always like, there's different kind of phases of American strongman that have happened. And when I turned pro, there was a lot of opportunities for pros to go compete. Right. So the American pros would fairly often get together, and like you're seeing them, oh, this is coming up, that's coming up. I mean, there was even a stage like in 2007 where there was 2 qualifiers to get to America's Strongest Man, and you had to go do the qualifiers to get into America's Strongest Man. And it was fun, man. It was like you'd go do it, and there was not much money on the line, but a little bit. Like maybe if you would do, you know, win it, you might cover your cost of your trip kind of deal. Sure. Like it was one of those, but the opportunities were still there. And it was like, okay, you're refining these skills. Like as a new pro, right? You're able to refine the skills, go against another level of competition where you have to step up, you have to get better. And I think it's just sharpening the sword, right? Like you need to do that. And I think that one of the things that kind of used to happen was all of the top Americans would typically go to the Fit Expo, right? So that was like All American Strongman Challenge. I don't know if they still call it that exact same thing, but that's what it used to be. And it was basically that. And then if you got top 6 there, would move on to the Super Series, right? So then the Super Series is what would essentially kind of be the ticket to get into World's Strongest Man. So that was your path as an American, was show up in shape in January, early February, whenever the Fit Expo happened. That was your proving ground. And essentially, in a way, that was kind of America's Strongest Man. Yeah. Right? It just was not really, the title wasn't there, but it was kind of like, well, whoever wins that. And then potentially that, you know, certain years, it was a direct invite to the Arnold. My year was not, you know, I won it and then that kind of was retracted, but you know, it was at least the opportunity was there, and you wanted to go and bang, compete, and just get after it with the top Americans. Right. And then America's Strongest Man, you know, just for whatever reason, it just never was like all the top Americans. And I would say that it was probably, you know, around that like 2007, that was a pretty good group. I mean, there was still a couple guys that were missing from that, but it was a pretty good group of Americans where, you know, it was, you know, myself and Travis Ortmeyer, Derek Poundstone, Van Hatfield, like, you know, it was a good mix of guys like at that point in time. But, you know, I always wanted it to be better, but I guess in a roundabout way to kind of bring that full circle, it's like, what opportunities did you get then with turning pro, and how were you able to merge that gap from, okay, you're a pro, because turning pro is certainly an accomplishment, right? But then you have that next level of competition that you have to step up and get better for. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's a cool thing. And I think before I went pro, I didn't put a lot of thought into what's next. And just with the structure of how all the federations and promoters and stuff now, you go pro, but it doesn't really qualify you for anything. I could go to America's Strongest Man, which I have like a personal mission to grow that show. But we can get more into that. Yeah, of course. But so the next thing that I was trying to do is like, I'm going to go to anything that has an auto qualifier. So went right into, I got to do one more Arnold Amateur. I lost by a fraction of a point to Oscar Zukowski. He went up going to the Arnold Pro. I'm actually really thankful that happened. I wasn't ready for the Arnold Pro. And then the next thing I did, I went to, or before that, I went to OSG. I got 4th. I had to win stones against Matt Ragg to go to
I would have gone to World's Strongest Man if I beat Matt Ragg at Stones. At the time, couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So I just missed out on that opportunity. I got 4th at OSG.
Okay.
So then 2nd at Arnold Amateur. So just barely missing out on these opportunities. And at the time, I considered them failures. But it's just like I wasn't ready. I was kind of got to cook a little bit. I got to improve a little bit. And then because of those two things, we just shot in the dark to JF because we heard that he was doing North America's Strongest Man. I got an alternate spot. He's like, I heard of him. He saw me at the Arnold Amateur. He's like, he's pretty good. And then Bobby pulled out and I got in. And I remember it was like my birthday and I got a text. It was like a Facebook message from JF, like, you're in North America's. It was a language barrier thing. I couldn't tell if he was putting me in or not. I was like, am I in the show? And he said, yes. I'm like crying in a Chipotle.
Yeah. It just happened.
And it's like, okay, we go to North America's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
And I ended up 2nd to Trey. Just barely beat like Derwinski. The Rayoum brothers were there. So it was like, okay, this is the first show where I started to believe, okay, I can compete with these guys. I thought I could, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
8-event contest, 2 days, 12 guys, ended up 2nd. Then I still was like, I still need some auto qualifier. And I was going to go to OSG again. But I was like, I'm a broke strongman who runs a gym, doesn't make enough money from coaching. I had been dead broke since I went all in on this thing. And America's Strongest Man, they're like, it's $25,000 to win.
Yeah.
And I sat down with Alec. It was like, America's qualifies for nothing, but I'm broke. You're broke. Yeah. It was like 9 days from the show. And I was like, Dion, can you let me in?
Yeah.
They didn't have a comp shirt for me, but they let me in and I won. And
That's
that was
awesome.
like life, like $25,000 on the scale of life is not a huge thing.
Yeah. But still at that moment, it's a big deal.
That's a life-changing thing for how broke I was for as long as I was.
Yeah.
And I think a clip of me doing natural stones at that show, Jan Todd saw it and that got me into the Arnold UK. And now we're here. Like it was one, I was so focused on these auto qualifiers, but it was just something I did at a show. Somebody saw it and I just kept working and somebody started to notice. I've actually done no auto qualifiers for anything.
That's funny. When you were seeking them out.
I know. It's not how it ended up. But I think if I would have won those, I wasn't ready for the next thing. I got to like develop before that thing. Yeah. So whenever I've got an opportunity, I feel like I've taken good advantage of it.
Yeah. And that's huge, man. Mm-hmm. It's huge. And it's sometimes when you, again, it's like taking that step back because in the moments where you come so close, it's what do you take away from that? Because there's certainly a way to take being that close. Like you said, I think you even used the word, I'd consider it a failure, right? It was like so close and I failed. But did that failure make you better? Did it drive you harder? Did it make you want to refine your skills? Because sometimes, and this is true in a lot of things, but if you have success, you keep saying you weren't ready, right? But if you have success before you're ready, right? Like let's just say that you would have won the Arnold Amateur, right? Instead of Oscar. And it's like, all right, well, now you're on that stage and it doesn't go well. Yeah. Right. Like you're in and it's like, here's the opportunity. But instead, because where is he now? I haven't seen him compete
I think he just had a tough 2 years where he competed maybe too much.
Sure. Yeah. And it's not saying that for him. I'm not trying to like bash him in any way at all, but it's like sometimes you get on that stage and it's like, holy shit, this is a different level. Yeah. Right. And I saw it for years. Like, and there was even conversations about, well, should that amateur contest qualify you to get in? Because that is, and depending on the year, right? Like in what events are chosen, it is it can be the ridiculous level where winning the Arnold Amateur doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to step to that level. So it's maybe in a way like again, you look back, it's like this blessing in disguise because you came that close, which was reinforcing what you were doing, but then you didn't quite win, right? Those moments. So it's like now you have even more fire to go get even better and refine your skills. Yep. And it's almost like then you do get the opportunity and the door opens. It's like, well, I'm ready. I have been ready. Yep. Right. But it's such an interesting path to not have the, like you said, not have the auto qualification to get in. But then it's like, well, you did this now here's the opportunity. Because if you get, the truth is, right, and the auto qualifiers certainly are great, and I think that people should for sure take advantage of those opportunities in sport to get yourself out there. But if you're good enough, if you become good enough and you become undeniable, the opportunities will come, right? So if every stage that you step onto, you continue to do well, right? And it doesn't matter the events, it doesn't matter the contest, you're right in the mix, right? You're right there. And then you start to continue to climb, you can't deny that.
No.
Right? Like it can't be taken away. It's like, well, Lucas did this, Lucas did that, Lucas, like it just, that comes up, right? And so I think that opportunity with the Arnold UK last year was huge for you, right? And you did some big things at that contest. And I think it opened a lot of people's eyes to who you were, but also the potential and what you were capable of.
Yeah. And I mean, I assume that the performance there was why I got a phone call from you.
It was one of the major reasons.
Them,
yeah. That and America's Strongest Man is a consideration for sure, right? So like that was kind of like, okay, well, you know, and then you start to look at, well, who's in the contest. And I think primarily because you were up against the competitors that you were at the Arnold UK, it's like, well, you know what? Like you came in and handled your business, right? So you opened the door. Yeah. But again, that's on you. It's not like you could really at that moment, you can't really look at anybody else and say, okay, well, that was a fluke or whatever. You know, it's kind of like you open the door for yourself by doing that. Yeah.
And it's a huge, it feels like a huge risk, like, cause it's just, I've done nothing that's guaranteed. I'm very outspoken to the fact that I will say no to a contest. Yeah. But at this point, I just believe that, you know, the real betting on yourself is not, I've heard guys say, you got to say yes to everything because you're ready to go, and that's betting on yourself. I'm like, no, betting on yourself is saying no when it's appropriate to say no because I know I'm good enough to get back there. Yeah. And even if they make me requalify, I will. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like I'm not afraid to say no. I need to build a good schedule because you know what? I can't compete 9 times a year. I need to compete 4 and keep getting better because you know, there's a dude in Canada that's a bit of a problem. Yeah. And if I don't get better, I'm not going to beat him. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and there's the thing is too, and that we can talk about that. I think that is a very smart approach. Yeah. Right. Because you actually have time in training. Yeah. Right. And if you build there's an argument for experience, I guess, right? Like if you're at the beginning, okay, I need experience. So I'm going to get in different contests and do a lot of that. And I will say for myself, early on, I did do a lot of contests because I wanted to, for me, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get in every scenario that I possibly could. So I wanted to be in a contest where I was leading and kind of running away with it. I wanted to be in a contest where it was neck and neck and the pressure was on and it was just one slip up here or there. And then also I wanted to have contests where things didn't go great and I had to fight back, right? So I had to get in these spots where I was down because if every contest I was just leading, you never really learn how to dig down inside yourself and say, this isn't going great, right? So if you get in all of these different circumstances, that contest experience, you're able to find where you need to go based on the circumstance you're in. Right. And there's no way really to say that other than that you have to get into it. But once you have that experience, now if you compete too often, you're never getting in the gym and just training and getting better. Yeah. So that didn't make a lot of sense to me either, because if I get done with one contest and let's just say I've got 5 weeks to this one. Okay. 5 weeks, I can probably just prep through some of the events and whatever, but I'm not really going back and saying like I've got a full 12 or even 16 weeks where I can really get better. Yeah. Right. And then let's just say after that 5 weeks, now I've got another contest coming up in another 4 weeks. So I do the exact same thing and try to get ready for that. So it's just plug and play the events, but it's never really going back to a foundational, let's kind of wipe the slate clean, see where you need to get better, and then go back in the gym and train. And I think that there's a lot of value in going in the gym and just putting the work in to get better. Right. And I think, for me, I know, like I said, I competed a lot early on. And then after I turned pro, I took the rest of the year off. So I turned pro in June and I didn't compete. I had opportunities, but again, I just said no. I was like, I know the level I'm at and I know what I have to improve on. I've got my marching orders, so to speak, in training. I'm going to go do that. And then I'll see you guys next year. I'll go get better. And it's not like I'm stopping it all. I'm going to go work hard and then I'm going to come back. And that's what I did. But it's there's a lot of value in that, man. Like in you being able to say no. And again, it is betting on yourself.
Yeah.
Right. But also if you compete too often and your performances suffer, which they very well could. I mean, it's, who knows how that would go. But if your performance goes down, you're really, and I said this all the time, you're really only as good as your last performance.
Yeah.
People have a very short memory, especially in a lot of sports, to be fair, but in strongman for sure, there's a short memory. It's like, what did you just do? So you're hot at this one, you did great here, then you turned around and you got your butt kicked at this one. Mm-hmm. So where is the consistency? You're not showing up, Sure. So for you to pick and choose, I think is smart, man. I would commend you for that. And then you show up on the biggest stages and get the job done. And that's where you're trying to go, I would guess, right?
Yeah. Like I got asked, I can't remember who asked me, it was recently. They're like, what is your end game in strongman? And I'm too early to be like, I want to win X amount or I want to be the greatest at this. I don't know those answers yet, but it's like those big 4 shows, they're all awesome and cool for their own reason. They all have their own history. They're all making their own history. And I want to be a part of all of those in a major way for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want to win all of those shows at some point. Like, and I just have this real reverence for the sport. Like I want the sport to grow. I want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to be here for a long time. And it's what I like to do. I don't know what's next after strongman. I am in the background building a life beyond lifting rocks competitively.
Yeah.
But I really want to lift rocks competitively for a while,
Well, and you're at an exciting point right now is what I would say, because you're still very young.
Yeah.
Collectively speaking, right? You're not even 30 yet. So it's one of those things where that open door, especially when it comes to strength and building true strength, as you continue to improve, you're only going to get stronger, right? But it doesn't need to be, and this is where I think a lot of guys maybe get it wrong, is it doesn't need to be something where you're trying to monumentally improve. It's incremental gains over a long period of time. And then that is your kind of level of homeostasis, right? Like that's just where you live, is at this level of strength. So you could walk in the gym at any point in time, just in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, and you're strong, right? And if you can live there and it's not like, well, I'm only strong when I go to the contest and other times I'm not and whatever. But if you're living with that and you're incrementally just getting better over a long period of time, that becomes a very, very good combination and a good package to bring to contest. So if you have that mindset where it's like, I'm going to compete in these events, I'm going to train for those specific events and be the best that I can be on that day for that contest, that's the way that it should be executed.
Yeah.
Right? You shouldn't just drop everything and say, well, I'm going to go compete here and do it. I mean, it's just having a game plan. I think there's a lot of power in that. And also the longevity, right? Because with what you just said, you want to be around, right? Like you want to be around, you want to compete for as long as you possibly can. So now you have to consider wear and tear, where are you competing, and what strain does that put on you?
Yeah.
And then how do you recover from that?
Yeah. And I think, I've heard it from other guys. It's like, why wouldn't you take that Giants Live? Why wouldn't you I said no to Worlds last year. Like I got a very late alternate invite. So it wasn't like I turned down you're in the show.
Yeah.
I had a really good reason for that. And they're just like, you're crazy. And I was like, no, I have this system that we believe in. Like I have a lot of faith in my coach. Me and Alec have been together for years at this point. And it's like, it feels like I came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I've done 8 pro shows. I have 8 podiums. Like we have a system that I believe in.
Sure.
And then we're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah. But that's proven now.
Yeah. I just like,
Yeah.
I saw, the comments are always stupid.
Yeah.
I should just listen to the Joe Rogan bit of advice. Just never read anything.
Yeah.
But somebody was like, it's still a very event dependent. I was like, were all 8 of those shows event dependent?
How can that be event dependent?
No.
Yeah.
Like
No.
Or I've heard there's bias because I get pressing events. I'm like, I just win all pressing events.
Yeah.
You could pick whatever you want and say the promoters, it is funny just what the conclusions people draw.
Well,
it's outside looking in,
Yes, it's such an interesting thing, man. Like stuff like that, like they forget about it. And then you certain guys become known for certain things.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, well, are you only a presser?
Yeah.
Right. So like, are you supposed to take pressing events out of a contest now?
Yeah.
Like if you're winning the pressing events and people like there's a bias towards you because there's a pressing event, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's just
we're always going to deadlift and Thor exists. So
yes.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, no. Well, and to that point, could you pull a deadlift out, or should you not test deadlift because somebody's either great at it or weak at it, and now the events are fixed? It's just the well-rounded component of strongman is very, very important, very important, and it's always amazing to have your banker events where if that's in, I know I'm winning. Worst case top 2, right? Like something, if you can say that, that's a very powerful spot to live.
Yeah.
And then everything else is you're still very good at it. And it just depends maybe on the variation. Maybe it's a rep type of deal versus a max weight type of deal. And maybe you're better with max, but reps like you fall down so it's just being able to kind of walk around and say, hey, it doesn't matter. But what I will say is the more that you do that, the more that you are on the podium, you're knocking right on the door, it becomes, again, undeniable.
Yeah.
Right. So any of those type of arguments or comments or things like this that you're hearing, inevitably those will go away.
Yeah.
Right. Because, there's, looking back, just to give you an example, there was a point in time where the comments were for me that I was never going to win the Arnold. All I was good was moving events. I was very athletic and very fast and I could move, but I wasn't strong enough. I was not strong enough to win the Arnold because I couldn't handle it.
Sure. Right.
But then later in my career, it was like, well, statically give Brian any weight he can move, whatever you put in front of him. But now the moving is not, like, and it's like, well, I could still move and I'm still statically strong, but like it's this opinion for whatever reason gets formed.
You get put in a box.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It's like pressers are short, slow guys that don't have a grip. Like, okay. Or like if you're a deadlifter, you're just good at deadlifting stones.
Yeah.
Right? You get put in this box. I'm like, Strongman Archives exists. You can look at everything I've ever done.
Yes, it's right there. It's right there.
It's funny what people do.
It's cool, man. So talk to me now, coming full circle like that. Obviously the Arnold UK happens, right? And coming into Strongest Man on Earth in 24, I know you were super excited for that. And there was, a lot, for you to step on that stage and compete and be there. How was that? How was that for you?
I was freaking out. I was like, it's just the Arnold UK is a big show, but it's like Strongest Man on Earth is a huge step up from that. It's, 16 guys and they're all ready.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot that time of year, so they have no excuse not to be ready.
Yeah.
And I think I came into that show, the only 2 people that thought that I could be in that top third was probably me and Alec. And so there was pressure because I'm the new guy. I thought, there's a chance I PR in 8 events and I'm 12th and I'll be really proud of that weekend. Right.
Yep.
I had no idea where I'd land. I had scored the show. I sit and analyze. I know you're notorious for that.
Yeah.
I knew there was a way that I could go like top 5. And, Alec was like, you can go top 3. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then day 1 didn't go well. And I was like, okay, we're sitting in like 10th. Maybe we fight our way into the top 8. And then basically I didn't realize that 2 events, half the field was 0. And we're back in this. And then right after that, arm over arms, typically my worst event ever. I end up mid-pack. And then we have dumbbell, which is my only banker in the whole show.
Yes.
And it's like, oh no, like I'm in a 3-way battle for the podium. I was like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Right. And funny enough, it was the three wide boys were in a foot race to like, who's going to get third, me, Trey, and Austin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not the most exciting foot race in the show. But
you guys all, I didn't think about that, but that's true. Yeah.
It
similar builds. Yeah.
Yeah. Three, somebody said this for the Arnold, the 3 barrel-chested Americans.
Yeah. 100%. That's true. That's true.
But you know what I'm really thankful for? North America's Strongest Man had fingal fingers. It had really heavy, hard power stairs that were on way higher steps.
Yeah. Those are high steps up there in Canada.
Then we used it. Strongest Man on Earth.
Yeah.
America's Strongest Man and Arnold Amateur had power stairs. I've been inadvertently training for that moment.
So you were ready for it.
My entire career.
That's cool.
I remember it was funny. Alec and Nick Gardione were like hyping both of me and Austin up in the tunnel.
Yeah.
And they, he sent us out, and Nick leans over to Alec and he's like, Lucas is good at these events, isn't he? He's like, yeah, he's really good at these events. Like finger power stairs. Like I've been training for this for years.
Yes.
It's like, oh damn.
That's awesome.
I ended up getting him in the end, and it was just, I couldn't even believe it when I got to the top of the power stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was one of my most emotional moments in my entire career, was the top of those power stairs.
Yeah. It's such a, it's a cool thing, man. I mean, it's, seeing the stage set for not only you, but all the guys, right? Like in that moment, and the crowd and the emotion. And, I mean, that's a, in your career, right? I would say, like, for that moment to happen is huge, right? It's a huge thing, because going in again, like you said, were very many people putting you in the top 3? No one, probably nobody, right? Like, and it's like, well, believe in yourself, believe in what you can do, and then you go put it on display, right? So, but truth be told, it's really about what you think you're capable of, right? Because if you put a limitation on yourself, then it's not going to happen. If you don't believe it, it's certainly not going to come to be reality. So for you to be able to do that and say, hey, look, I'm objectively looking at this. Like if I go in and get this done, it can happen. And the neat part, especially with that, is with the number of events and with the number of competitors, the door is open.
It's never closed.
It's never closed. Yeah. And all it takes is a slip up or somebody to do something very unexpected, which happens in almost every strongman contest. Sure. It's just like, wow, we weren't expecting that, or, which makes the sport fun. It makes it fun because it's not predictable. So again, every expert or anybody that analyzes a contest that says, hey, here's my predictions, I think this is going to happen, you very rarely are those people ever 100% correct, right? And also they're making predictions not knowing. There's so many factors with an athlete's mindset, how they're feeling, and it was interesting for me because I did all the interviews with all you guys before the contest, and you could tell, like, energy is probably the best way to say it. Sure. As who's there, you could tell whose training was kind of on point and who was feeling better, where they were at mentally, and what they were expecting of themselves. And I think that's always fun. It's always fun because at that point in the training cycle, people maybe were up or down or not knowing, or you maybe had a couple great sessions, or you had a couple sessions where like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But then you look back at that training cycle, and it's managing all of that up and down to get into that moment. And then it all comes to fruition, with getting on that stage, man. And I think that, like, for me, with you, I would say that moment, it's like you really, it's not that you hadn't done anything before at all, right? But it's like you really put your flag in the ground and said, hey, look, like, I'm somebody that you need to pay attention to, and I'm here to play for real, right? And I think that, like, for me at least, it was neat to see that because, that opportunity is there. You seized it. You got it done. You're up there and everybody's celebrating, your family's there. Like everybody's so pumped. And those are moments that you will never forget, which is fun.
Yeah. I'd put that in the first America's Strongest Man win. It's just like, I can't even, I'm sure there'll be bigger, people from the outside, there will be bigger moments. But to me, there's nothing
We
bigger.
should look at that, the power stairs, if we can find that one. Like,
It's just, and
to see I want to see what your face looks like the emotion.
I think it was the elevation, and I was admittedly a little too big for the show. I was on oxygen like after 7 of 8 events. So I don't even know.
Look, it is higher here. Like we're competing at about a mile high.
Yeah.
So.
And I just don't think I had the energy to celebrate in a traditional way.
Okay.
So that plus emotion, I'm like, I'm dropping to my knees here. I'm not getting up with the crowd.
Yeah.
That's all I had. And I remember it was either Nick Best or Ortmeyer. One of the two of them came up there and was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No, no." And they helped me down.
So here.
Yeah. So I finished the first one.
So it's you and Austin going at it.
And when I finished the first one, I knew that I could win, or, my version of winning, getting that third. But at this moment, I was like, I know how bad this is about to hurt.
Yeah.
These steps are going to hurt. And it was just gathering myself for each one. But what's funny is I thought I was going super slow. When I finished, I thought I had like a second left.
Just barely.
It felt like an eternity out there.
Yeah, you're working through it. Solid, man. Up.
And I know Trey had just barely not gotten it on, so I shoved the hell out of it.
Yeah, it's good. Crowd going crazy. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a little, that's like the one clip that I get like emotional watching. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was so funny that the difference in reaction. So I'm getting emotional up there, and down on the floor, I think Alec is losing his mind.
I'm sure he's jumping around you.
Yeah, it's and Higo was in the back just because he was there helping with the show.
Yes, yep.
It was just so cool, man. Like so fortunate. Every time we compete, between my gym and family, we end up having to get a reservation for like 15 to 20.
Yeah.
There's so much support, man. That moment was just the culmination of a lot of things.
A lot of things. Yeah.
And
see I think it's fun for people that are listening to this to hear that, right? To hear what, because sometimes, like as a fan too, you go in and you watch these performances, these things happen, right? And you look at it for that moment, but a lot of times it's not necessarily the way an athlete connects the dots to what just happened.
Yeah.
So it's not just the training cycle, which obviously is a massive component of it, and it's not just a belief in yourself, but it's kind of the culmination of this entire journey that you've been on to get to a moment like that, where it kind of all comes full circle, right? But let's just say third place, right? So third place, strongest man on earth. You're riding this high, walking away after you looked at it. What were your thoughts then? And I guess more specifically, I'm asking kind of like, were there thoughts of like, okay, you're happy about the accomplishment and it's like, what's next? Or where am I going to go? Like, how did you look at it?
Yeah, no, I was definitely in that space, because I think, what's funny is I got third and I got emotional and I lost it. Thor still beat me by 15 points. And I think Hooper had another 10 plus above that.
Yeah.
That was as good as I possibly could have done, even if I didn't lose points on day one. So I was like, I believed that I could hang with these guys, but I was like, I know there's so much work left to do to be who I want to be. So it was right back into like off-season mode. But that was the biggest adrenaline dump I've ever had. I was, that little bit of post-contest depression. I don't know where to go next. I didn't have anything pending. I think I just ended that year with America's Strongest.
Yeah. We
did a little short prep for my second America's Strongest, but it was just like, that's the biggest thing we're doing this year. And I needed just some time. And that led to an Arnold invite. I found that out like December. And it, like the coolest thing about this whole experience, like I've gotten a lot of seconds in my life.
Yeah.
Whether it was before strongman or not, I've gotten real good at learning. And like, who else in the sport? Like, this is the one thing I'm going to toot my horn on. Who else is getting better? all the time. And like, I take a lot of pride in the fact that we're getting better each time we turn up.
100%.
And all of my shows, even back to like the amateur nationals I went pro, has come down to the last event. I'm very confident in that last event moment when I have to get it done. And you know, the Arnold, I made Hooper work. He for sure had it.
We should talk. So one thing we should pull up is the I think they called it the big jerk event.
Sure.
Big jerk event. So walking into this, I feel like you were, because of what you had done in training, what you had posted in training, because you posted a 550 or 250 kilos, right?
I think I did 251.
251.
Just to, you know, a little stab at Evan.
Okay.
Evan did 250.
So you
we
did
had a little
251.
friendly contest going on.
So this is, what weight are we at here?
247. So this was the winning
This
mark.
is the winning.
Yeah. So.
But this was also your third attempt, is that right?
Yeah, I had one more.
So there's 4 total.
Yes.
So on your third attempt, you win
Yes.
the event.
Yeah. I mean, I figured that would happen. Like we thought, you know, before the day I was planning to win on my second, but we're just like, there's no reason to go anything crazy. Let's do the
Because you have 4 attempts.
Yeah. Let's do this conservatively. And so I opened the biggest. I was the only person to open at 500 or more.
Okay.
And I was just in the driver's seat. Like I had only done that 251 in training, but what people don't realize is I missed 2 reps in 13 or 14 weeks. I can do this lift.
100%.
I knew I had 260, 50-50 on 270, and I knew no one would be close. So we just decided to be more conservative. I was kind of like hinting, they put that bounty up on the big deadlift.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have the bounty on the wrong event. The heaviest weight ever pressed in any strength sport ever is 267 kilo. I'll give you 270. I don't even need a lot of money. I just want to do it.
Just put something on.
Because it's kind of fun. Like,
Yeah.
I thought I might be able to press 270. I mean, guys have done it. Like Joe Kovacs has done it. Kaklaev had done it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do it on the Arnold stage. And I wasn't properly incentivized to do it. And I did the smart thing for the contest. We had 2 events left.
So 270 is 5.
So 272 is 600.
600.
So
Okay.
I probably would have called 272
Just to get the 600.
6.
I was going to
Yeah.
say upper right at 590.
And that's the issue in weightlifting.
596. Yeah.
Is nobody will target 272 for 600 pounds. They're all in kilos, so they target 270. 270 is their like pinnacle, and no one's done it yet.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'll be like, it's almost 600.
Gosh,
just do
that's
600.
awesome, man.
So yeah, at some point I'd love to circle back to that event, even if it's just an exhibition.
Yeah.
I want to hold 600 pounds over my head, and I think it's a chip shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
It's
I mean, the training, I feel like your training lined up, obviously. Your preparation was there. And that's an event where going in, what was it like going into that contest and that event where everybody's looking at you and saying, well, Lucas is the guy? I mean, how was that feeling? Like,
I haven't felt
is that the first time that's really happened with an event, or was it like dumbbell?
Dumbbell is the main one.
Okay.
Where people
Okay.
Because I've lost dumbbell once ever since my first show. And that was Rob Kearney beat me by a couple seconds at America's Strongest Man.
Okay.
So pretty good guy to lose to in the dumbbell. Rob was damn good at that event. So I felt that before, but it was kind of crazy to feel that on my first Arnold. Like there's an event, like if he just doesn't mess up, he'll win.
Yeah.
That was a weird bit of pressure, but I think I hit a 470 pound last warm up in the back. And I was like, I hit that lift. It's like, I'm winning. I can do this.
Yeah. The weight just felt right.
Yeah. And with that lift, I need like 440 plus to feel good.
Yep.
It feels bad till 440 plus. And then I hit one or two heavy ones in the back. I'm like, this is okay. Just do what you need to do.
The confidence is there.
Yeah. It's,
see, that's awesome.
Yeah. Just working with, I did some weightlifting. I worked with Alec before Strongman was a weightlifting coach. It's just one of those things we've refined.
This is your last dumbbell at Strongest Man on Earth.
Yeah. Oh, this was a fun moment.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. Look at the crowd.
Everybody
pumped, man.
That event was a must win.
Yeah.
The only way this dream stays alive is if we win this event.
Yeah.
And Novikov, I think, did a fast 4. So I was like, I'm not going to beat him on that. I need a 5.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get this 5th dumbbell.
Go get it done.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, dumbbell. I'm assuming that's kind of always come naturally. The dumbbell. That's
Coming
been
from
just a banker kind of feel good.
Coming from weightlifting and shot put, just applying force through my legs into my arms is just a natural thing. And now we design all of my training around that. Like we talked about this in the gym, like yesterday. I don't do strict pressing. I'm not working on lockout power. I'm not doing any of those things, which seems foreign to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
My overhead training is my squats, and you see how fast I squat. I intentionally squat fast.
Big time explosiveness.
And it's like, if I am fast enough with my legs, I don't need lockout power. It's already locked out.
Because it's there.
Yeah. I mean, that'll change if I have, a Viking press that's super heavy, or we're prepping for maybe a max log, because they still push press that. There's a time and a place for that in training, but it's never like I'm very comfortable pulling it out for whole mesocycles of training. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
That we're working on pressing with the legs. And that's just what we do.
It's obviously working, man.
Yeah.
It's obviously working. So it's, you don't need to go back and change anything when things are working. You know, that's not a good choice. No. So keep it rolling. But like that, so the second place, walking out in the last event, stone to shoulder, right? What did you have to do in that to lock up that and also put some pressure?
Yeah. So based on what had occurred, my brother was very quickly tracking scores, and he was yelling at me in the tunnel, and he's like, I think you need 1 rep. So I just needed to match Thor.
Okay.
If I matched Thor, I had a 2.5 point lead on him. I could hang on to second. And then beyond that, it's okay. You have 4.5 points back on Hooper. The way that you win the show is you win the stone. You
put pressure.
Yeah, you put pressure. So I hit my first one. I was like, there was a bit of a celebration. I'm like, okay, we're in second. We're locked in. Rep 2 was a bit harder. And I look over my brother. And
the first one was very easy. That
seemed
like very comfortable.
Yeah, we had a that was the only event in prep that was kind of up down.
Okay.
Everything else was what we predicted, and we had a good prep. But stone to shoulder is just not something I'd done a lot of. But in the last year or two, we put a lot of emphasis on that final extension to load high.
Okay.
So thankful we did that, because it built into this really well. And when it came down to it, I hit the second. I look over. Coach says, no, let's go for 3. Yeah. Andrade had 4, but 3 got me ahead of a big tie at 2 reps.
Yep.
So it put me, let's guarantee 3 reps and make Hooper swing for it.
Yep.
So I think he only needed 1 rep after I did this to be, I think he'd win by half a point.
So he had, but
he had to go.
If he doesn't do that rep, then you win.
1 on the big stone. Yeah. He had to do it. And I thought, I did all I could. This was the first show I've done where I don't feel like I left a single point on the board. I might have left 1 point on the board on the drag event.
Okay.
Because I got a little crooked and I hit the rubber and I ended up like a fraction of a second behind Tom Stoltman.
There you go.
That's 1 point. But this is my most complete show I've ever done. And I walked away. I was like, if Hooper beats me, he beats me.
Yeah.
But I left it out there. And fun little thing, I go to do my 3rd rep. It probably won't show it. Schwarzenegger is sitting right there in front of me.
Yeah.
Like before the rep, he puts the cigar in his mouth and lights it. I'm like, I remember having this thought. I was like, that's cool as hell. I gotta hit this. I gotta hit this rep.
just make it happen.
We gotta make it happen. He's sitting right there. Why not? And got it done on the 3rd one.
That's awesome.
But yeah, man, it was such a feeling of relief when the show got done. It's like, we did it. We put a full show together. We pushed the guy who's number 1 right now. And most shows, people and he even admits it, people don't push him.
Yeah.
And we got to push him. And he actually thanked me for that. Like, it was fun. It was genuinely fun.
Sure.
To have a 6-event show and make the last event matter.
Yeah. Well, and that's in an ideal world, man. That's what you want, right? Like you want it to be a battle. And I think any competitor, Mitch Hooper's no different. Like you want the competition.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not, and I did contests like that too, where at certain points I would opt out of the last event if I was too far ahead. But it's not like, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm here, but like when you're in an intense battle and it comes down to it, and it's like, well, you better do it.
Yeah.
It makes you feel alive, right?
Yeah.
So like you thrive on, and I always wanted, I wanted the guys to come in. Of course, it's a super competitive situation, right? But I always said, and I always will say, I always wanted the competitors to show up in the best shape possible. No injuries, nobody's banged up, everybody's primed, everybody's ready, everybody had a great training cycle.
Yeah.
And let's just find out who the best is, right? On these events. And there's no injuries during the contest. There's nobody getting banged up. Everybody gets to perform at their best. That's an ideal scenario. Is that the reality? Most of the time it's not. It's like guys are walking in, they're maybe a little banged up or didn't have a great prep or whatever. And then some nail it. Yeah. Some nail it. And you know, that those are the ones where it does turn into a battle, right? And I think it very much sets the stage in a lot of different ways, you know, for you guys, because now the question mark is there for you and your head has to be there. Okay, what was it, 2.5 points? Is that what it was? So 2.5. How do you make up those 2.5 points, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure you're thinking that in some capacity. Yeah. Like, is it there? You know, and you know, winning the 2 pressing events, for example, like where, if you had to objectively look at yourself, where would you say is it? What event is like, all right, I'm coming back and getting
the easy plug and play is I just can't get 7th in deadlift.
Yes.
But we all know deadlift is the one that takes the longest to build. Yeah. And I'm not going to be catching him anytime soon, but like, when can I catch number 6, number 5? Yeah. I really didn't leave a lot of points on the board, but my foot speed on the frame was slow. But I was slow because I didn't believe I could do it. I was like, if I go
grip on that is you have to have the confidence of knowing. Yeah. Right. And that,
and I genuinely did not think I would finish. And I was like, I got it. I got about halfway up. I was like, oh, we're doing this.
I'm going to do it.
But I'm like, if I jostle this thing at all, I'm going to hate myself forever. So I just held the steady pace. Yeah. And in the future, you know, I won't get as many guys tripping and falling and whatever. I might have to go do it in 8 seconds. And I think I have the legs to do that. Yeah. But I need to have the confidence now that next time, because there's going to be a next time. Yeah. I need to be able to do the same thing in 8 seconds. I need to, you know, get the fitness to, like, let's say there's a day that I need to get 4 or 5 on the Austrian oak. Yeah. I think I'm strong enough to do that, but it was the lungs that I couldn't do it.
So now that component
same thing on the stones. Like if I was in better fitness shape, 4 or 5 reps is there. Yeah. I what's kind of been a cool realization, but it's an honest critique of myself. I was strong enough for the Arnold and the strongest man on earth, but I'm on the floor fighting my lungs. Yeah. And I was in much better shape for this show than strongest man on earth. I genuinely was. We've improved. I've lost a little bit of weight. Yeah. But it's still my weakness. That's my weakness. If I'm really being honest, I have a pretty rough relationship with food, which I mean, you could probably relate to that at certain points in your career.
Yes. Yeah.
It's always been a thing that's tied to mental health with me. It's like when things are hard, I just eat. Sure. And I know that seems silly, but it's just like,
well, it doesn't seem silly because it's everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people, that is a thing, man. Yeah. And it's just, you know, it's part of like that disconnect of food, like being an outlet or whatever it might be. And, you know, it's, I tried to, you know, for me, it was certainly the eating and you know, at certain points, like with strongman, we definitely plugged in some foods that were higher calorie, right? Like it wasn't like we shied away from that too much. And for me, it's like, even going through the process that I have in the last few months where it's been a big challenge for me because it's not ever been hard for me to gain weight, right?
No,
like it's
not. I'm good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. that's a strength. It's a strength. So like trying to change it up now has been a big mental shift for me, but it's that relationship with food, right? So it's like, and a lot of times a lot of people out there, it's like, well, we're going to get food. We're going to go out to eat or this or that. Right. So it certainly can be a very mental thing. And I think the thing that I would say for me is I started thinking in every capacity, like programming myself to say that food is fuel. Yeah. So if I can look at this plate of food and say, that's my fuel. So the more premium fuel that I'm putting into myself, the more I'm going to get out on the back end. And I think that for me, that helped a lot, but I completely get it, man. But the thing is, being strong enough to handle these contests, right? And all it is that work capacity going up. and then that opens a new door, right? So now the kind of exciting part for you is to think about, okay, you take that up, now like that becomes a very dangerous package for people to have to handle with you.
Yeah. And I think people characterize me as like a slower, my fitness isn't very good.
I can
still win moving events, but it's on effort and just I want to win really bad. Let's combine that with some actual fitness and like get that engine working a little better. I think we're going to be surprising some people. Like
I think you will too, man. It's I mean, the door is open to do it, right? It's all there, which is, it's super exciting, man. It's like this, at this point in career, to have the doors opening that you do and to be riding the way that you are now with the podiums that you've had, the performances that you've had, like, it's you're not going to fly under the radar anymore.
No.
Right? Not that 100% I would argue that you're not necessarily already doing that, but again, probably with the Arnold, there wasn't a lot of people saying, hey, this is what's the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
Right. So, and whether it's like other guys or whatever you want to call it, bigger names or more well-known or whatever, like, but as you do these things, you're going to be quickly put into that spotlight of there's expectations on what is Lucas going to do now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that those questions are already coming.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, what is he going to do? I have, Worlds in 10 or 11 weeks. What's he going to do there?
Yes.
What's he going to do? Strongest man on earth. Like if he doesn't get a squat and a dumbbell, is he going to be able to podium at strongest man on earth? I think so, but like, it's a valid question.
Yeah.
Got to get it done. Got to keep improving. Like if, you don't always have banker events, you don't always have even good events.
Yeah.
Like I still have holes. So, I'm just excited, man. Like, it's just, we're in a fun spot. Kind of in the driver's seat. I think this will be the first year. I hope that I go all 4 of the big shows. And we'll just see how it goes. Like, we're in a good rhythm with training, good, support system with sponsors, and you and Carrie have been awesome. It's just, it's weird. If you told me that where we're at this moment is where we'd be at like 2 years ago, I'd be like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well, which is cool. I mean, it's cool. Yeah. And I think you mentioned at the beginning where we've got you out here because you are working with Undefined Nutrition and Evolution Athletics. So we're trying to get you right after the Arnold here, and like not too banged up, and you've been doing all the pictures and all the fun stuff behind the scenes. And it's neat to have you involved in those companies and helping grow them too, man. It's fun, but again, it's like this full circle type of thing, right? Like it's neat to, and it always has been neat for me to go through my career and then have those companies where now we can, the next breed are coming up, and like we have involvement and, the support of people like you that are, hey, this is who I'm sponsored by. I'm proud of it. Like it's really neat, man, to see it kind of come to that point and where you're like in these moments, it was neat for me to go and like, especially with, the supplements and the gear. I was like, I'm going and competing, and it's like, all right, I designed this product, and like, here it is. And then other people are like, yeah, man, that's working really well. And like, it's good. And like to see the athletes use it and to be able to even have like moments like this with you and some of the other athletes we had here is fun. It's a lot of fun. So
I'm sure it's a pretty crazy full circle moment from like you were sewing stone sleeves in your house many years ago, and now half the field's got your support belt on or whatever.
Yes, no, it's really cool. It's cool to be able to give back as well, right?
Sure.
Like, and I think that a lot of the the mission with that is to help people improve themselves, and then to, obviously give back to the sport. And I'm definitely not going to, there's a lot of guys that have competed or do compete, and then they get done and I don't want to say they turn their back on it, but they're like, okay, I'm done with that. Like there's no more, where they don't really want to be invested in trying to make it grow. And I definitely am, right? Like it's one of those things where we continue with that, and we're able to give back more and do more and like that type of thing. So the support is definitely appreciated, because it's like it opens doors to be able to give back more, and then have that like-minded community of people that are part of it, right? And like it's like anybody can improve themselves, and I think that's the cool part to convey to people. Are they going to go do some of the things that you've done? Maybe not.
Yeah.
They haven't really, if you haven't tested yourself, you don't know what you're capable of, right? So before you shut it down, but maybe they don't want to either, and they just want to improve themselves in a smaller way, and that's totally cool too,
Yeah.
I mean, it's all really fun, but I think we need to let you eat, man. I think we've been talking. You've had a long couple days, and I wanted to pull you in here and introduce you to more people, but obviously like hear your story and where you're trying to go, and I think it's going to be exciting to follow along, man.
Yeah.
I mean, see where you can go and what your potential is, and I don't know that we know that yet. We don't.
No.
We don't.
No, I genuinely don't think so. It's just we've been 1% better, 1% better, 1% better. We're just gonna keep trying to do that and see how long we can be a part of this thing. And when it's my time to hang it up, like I've got the gym, I've got coaching, I've got my own contest I'm running. I mean, a lot of what I'm trying to do, I'm sitting across from the model of what you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm going to be a part of this a lot for a long time after I'm done with it.
Yeah.
But I'm nowhere close to done with it.
No, man. And you got to live in that moment. I'm
really excited about it, man.
You got to live in that moment, man. So for people that are listening that want to follow you or, hear more of your story, that type of stuff, where's the best place?
Yeah. So we've had a lot of traction on Instagram. I think a lot of people have me on Instagram. It's just Lucas Hatton.
Okay.
The big one we're trying to grow is YouTube. So it's Hatton Strength on YouTube. The diehard strongman fans have found us.
Love it.
It's still a lot of like long form training content. There's technical videos. We review all the shows that are coming up. We just have a lot of fun with it. Yep. It's not clickbait. I'm not doing, eating challenges or anything we're just having fun. And, maybe we evolve into some of that stuff in the future, but I couldn't be more thankful for the people who have found us already. Yeah. Because it's been really fun doing it.
That's cool, man. Yeah. Well, you can tell with the content that you're putting out that you love it, that you're wanting it to grow and you're wanting to give back already. And it's neat to see that happening. So, for everybody out there, go check Lucas out, give him some love, and let us know in the comments what you think. What do you think he's going to do in the future? Where's the potential, right? Mm-hmm. Sky high, I think, but we will see where things go, man. But I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you being here and doing everything you do, man. And congrats on all the success.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, give it a share. Definitely helps us to get more traction with the podcast, get it out to more people, and always appreciate that. Hope you're all doing amazing. For now, going to be great. Check you guys later. If you enjoyed this podcast episode and would like to listen to another, click right here. And to stay informed about new podcast episodes, click here to subscribe.